Rafi Eitan, Israeli spymaster who caught Eichmann, is D3ad at 92. Rafi Eitan, the canny Israeli spymaster who commanded the Nazi hunting team that captured Adolf Eichmann in Argentina and many years later was unmasked as the handler of Jonathan J. Pollard, the American Navy intelligence analyst who pleaded guilty to passing on more than 1,000 secret documents to the Israelis, died on Saturday in Tel Aviv. He was 92. The death was confirmed by the Eichmann Medical Center, where Mr. Eitan had been hospitalized, Israeli news organizations said. In a statement, Mr. Eitan, a bespectacled man with thinning hair, was a legend in his country because an international intrigue seemed to bear his fingerprints. He played important roles in 1981, the theft in the late 1960s of at least 100 pounds of highly enriched uranium from a nuclear fuel plant in the Pittsburgh area that helped Israel's atomic bomb program, and the assassinations of the Palestinian commandos who carried out the in 1972. In principle, when there is a war on terror, you conduct it without principles, he said in an interview with the Israeli newspaper Haaretz in 2010. You simply fight it. No single deed garnered as much attention as the kidnapping of Eichmann, the SS official who drew up plans for the final solution, the mass deportation of Jews to camps for extermination. Mossad, the Israeli counterpart of the Central Intelligence Agency, had learned from a German prosecutor that a young German woman in Buenos Aires had befriended a young man there named Nicholas Eichmann, who lived with his family in a suburb of the city. His father, through surveillance, Mr. Eitan and his team established that Clement, who appeared to be Eichmann, returned home from work by bus each day. On May 11, I grabbed him by the neck with such force that I could see his eyes bulge, Mr. Eitan recalled. A little tighter, they drove 3 miles to a safe house, where Eichmann was kept for 7 days, during which he admitted that he was indeed Adolf Eichmann. We did not want to show Eichmann how nervous we all were, Mr. Eitan told an interviewer. That would have given him. The team dressed Eichmann in the outfit of an El Al airline crew member, forced him to drink a bottle of whiskey to make him wobbly, and escorted him onto a departing airplane as if he were an under-the-weather steward. An actual El Al. The kidnapping was condemned in Argentina as a violation of that country's sovereignty and of international law, but it was met with deep satisfaction and vindication by tens of thousands of Holocaust survivors. Eichmann faced in his book Gideon's Spies: The Secret History of the Mossad 1995, the British author and investigative journalist Gordon Thomas wrote that Mr. Eitan spoke to Eichmann in the execution chamber. Eichmann looked at me and said, "Your time will come to follow me, Jew," Mr. Thomas quoted Mr. Eitan as recalling, and I replied, "But not today, Adolf, not today." Rafi Eitan was born on November 23, 1926, in the British Mandate of Palestine to Zionists who had immigrated from Russia 3 years earlier and lived in a small settlement near Tel Aviv. Not yet a teenager, with Jews pressing the British for an autonomous homeland, his most dazzling venture was to crawl through sewers to blow up a British radar installation on Mount Carmel. It earned him a soap. Mr. Eitan was twice wounded in the 1948 War for Independence. After telling over the next few decades, he served as operations chief at Shin Bet, Israel's equivalent of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and as Mossad's deputy operations chief. In 1985, Mr. Pollard, an intelligence analyst for the Navy assigned to monitor classified materials on global terrorist activities, was arrested on charges of spying for Israel and turning over thousands of documents to it. He confessed, and the Pollard affair strained the close ties between the United States and Israel and raised the specter of divided loyalties among some American Jews, though today, after revelations in 2013 of the United States spying on allies through the National Security Agency, the double-dealing seems routine. Israeli officials at first tried to depict the Pollard case as a rogue operation by Mossad. But Shimon Peres, according to Mr. Thomas, the British author, Mr. Eitan was also for a time a secret advisor on counter-terrorism to MI6, the British Foreign Intelligence Agency, and had helped Mossad agents track an Irish Republican Army bomb squad in Gibraltar that was then killed by British Special Forces. In the wake of the Pollard affair, Mr. Eitan lost his executive intelligence post but was made head of the state-owned Israel Chemicals, a job that ended in 1993 when he was 67. He and his wife, Miriam, were said to have had 3 children and several grandchildren, but there was no immediate information on his survivors. Mr. Eitan was played by the actor Nick Kroll in Operation Finale, a 2018 movie about the operation to capture Eichmann. In supposed retirement, Mr. Eitan undertook large agricultural and construction projects in Cuba and, like other Israeli spymasters, fashioned something of a political career. He represented his one other avocation was sculpture, and Mr. Eitan produced more than 100 pieces over more than 30 years. None, however.
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park.